In this lesson, you'll learn how to create advanced button interactions in Power BI and why this technique elevates your report user experience. We'll use bookmarks and visibility to simulate button animations, making your dashboard feel clean, dynamic, and professional. Let's dive in.
So I'm just going to demonstrate it first, and then we are going to do it step by step the second time. I will make everything visible. So I have my two buttons and I have my two visuals. If I go back, now what do you think is really happening? How is the size of the button changing? Any idea?
Is it a different visual over the top, like a layer?
Yeah. There are four buttons actually. There is a small button and then there's a big button, there's a small button, then there's a big button. When I click on small button, the small button itself hides and the big button from the back of it appears. It looks like small button is changing to big button, but effectively it's again simple visibility and invisibility. So let me first show you all the steps and then we will do it together. Okay. I go back. First, I can create the big buttons. Right click. I put it on the top and I make it big, right? That's my big button. Then I Control C, Control V. So I make it a little big. So I have 6 objects in total now. I have 2 big buttons. I have 2 small buttons. And then I have 2 visuals, right? Now I want you to tell me and help me out how all of this will work. When I click on this one, just to help me, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to rename the big buttons by double clicking. I'm just going to say BB. BB stands for big button. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to say, right? So I have, and I can also rearrange things, right? I just bring small and big together, big and small together, and then the visuals together. You can move things up and down. Now let's do one thing. If I go back here, when I click on the small button disappears, correct? The big button appears, and we also have this small button for urgency. So a couple of things are happening. I go back. Let's say I I click on this small button. I click on this small button. When I do it, what is visible at that point? You tell me. What objects out of these six objects should be visible at that point when I click on by urgency? Tell me.
Everything but the method figure.
Everything but the method figure. Not everything. So see this. Let's go one by one. When I click on this button, this should be visible, right? This will be visible because that's the visual. Also, this big button will become visible. But at the same time, this small button will become invisible, correct? Also, this will become invisible, correct? There is one more thing that will become invisible. What is that?
Big method type button.
Correct. This will also become invisible. And this will become visible. Now you go back to the main report and see, just click on it and see this is what's happening. The big button becomes visible on the small button that you click. But for the other ones, the small button becomes visible. So 3 objects are invisible and 3 objects are visible, correct? I will use the same technique and I will change the, so what I'll do, I'll come here and I will hide things which should be hidden. So what should be hidden? In terms of OMT, the big OMT will be hidden. What else will be hidden? In terms of the urgency, the small urgency will be hidden. And then here, this will be hidden, right? That's what I'll do. I will close it. And then I will update the bookmark. What bookmark will I update? Will I update this one or this one? What do you think?
The urgency one, because you want that it's based on the urgency to show.
Correct, because I'm clicking on this urgency button. I want the urgency to appear and I'm clicking on I'm activating the urgency bookmark. See the button I'm clicking? So I will update the urgency bookmark. And then I'm going to repeat the step to create it for the vice versa scenario. So first have a look on my screen. Let me just complete all the steps and then we will do it together the second time. Okay? Okay. So I close it. I hide. Then I hide the big urgency, not big urgency, small urgency. And then I hide. Correct? That's what we decided. Big urgency is visible. The visual is visible, and then I click on these three dots and I update. Now creating vice versa scenario is much more easier. I'm going to hide what's unhidden. I'm going to hide what's visible, and so I just click, 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 and click. This creates the opposite scenario. I click on OMT and update. Now I make everything visible. I overlap, 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 overlap. I can also control bookmarks from here, right? See this? See this? So that's really the end goal. And now we are just going to configure it together. Here we go. So make sure everything is unhidden first. Let's put it side by side. Small button, big button, small button, big button, right? So we have 6 objects. When I click on small by urgency, what is visible? Of course, the visual is visible. The big urgency is visible. This one is invisible. The big by method type is invisible, and this one is invisible. Using the same criteria, I want you to hide your objects. Hide your big OMT, hide your small urgency, and hide your revenue. Once you have done it, then very carefully click on these 3 dots. Why do I say carefully? Because if you click on the bookmark, it activates the bookmark and it will reset everything. So carefully click on these 3 buttons and click on update. If it's done, give me a thumbs up. Once it's done, just create a vice versa scenario. Hide, unhide, just click, just keep clicking on the eye like this. 1, 2, click on every single icon. So it creates your reverse scenario. Then click on OMT and click on update. Once you have done it, put your buttons on top of each other, put your visuals on top of each other, and then use the bookmarks from here. This is, once you have a lot of objects overlapping each other, you can actually activate your bookmarks from here. Selection pane controls the visibility. Bookmarks, buttons, activates. Now, next, we will see some options to just package it properly. So we have a lot more smoother experience that when someone clicks on it, it does not look like things are disconnected. We will look at things like layer order, grouping, alignment, so we can package it nicely. But before we do it, I just want to check, like, this is the final result. You click on the small button and your big button just displays. Your big button is not activating a bookmark. Only your small button is activating the bookmark. Your naming is right. See, we are naming things in multiple places. We are naming something here. We are also naming it in the selection pane, and we are also naming it in the bookmarks pane. So this naming helps you to configure things properly. Save your file. William, how is it working for you?
Yeah, working fine, mate. Yep.
Working fine? Okay. Normally here, when we connect 4 buttons and 2 objects, people do struggle. It's surprising that everyone has been able to configure it properly in the first round. Okay. So once it is working, I think we will just go on a lunch break.